Hi guys! Welcome to our video tutorial. Today we will teach you about 4 things. First is 1 sample z-test. Second, 1 sample t-test. Third, z-test for proportion. And fourth, z-test for 2 proportions. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's first start with sample z-test. The given are 70,000, a sample of 20 bangtan, and a mean salary of 80,000, and the alpha 0.01, and 8,500 as the standard deviation. So based on our problem, this is our given. M is equals to 70,000, N is equals to 20, X bar is equals to 80,000, and our S is 8,500, our alpha is 0.01, our DF is equals to 20 minus 1, so we have 19. We have 6 steps in solving 1 sample z-test. First is, we write the hypothesis, so HO is equals to M is greater than or equals to 70,000, HA is equals to M less than 70,000. Our second step is to write the alpha, 0.01. It is one-tailed. It is one-tailed because based on our given, it says that it is more than. Step 3, write the z value. It is from our t table. So we have 2.539. Fourth step is solve the equation. So 80,000 minus 70,000 divided by 8,500 divided by square root of 19. So we have 5.12. Our step 5 is decide. We rejected HO because it is in the rejected region. The 5.12 is in the rejected region. So we reject HO. Step 6 is conclude. And since we reject HO, we can conclude that there is no enough evidence to support the claim of the research. And that's it.
Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to solve a 1 sample z-test. Here are some other examples of a 1 sample z-test, but first, you should know the steps before solving a 1 sample z-test. Here are the steps that you should follow. Step 1, you need to find the hypothesis. Step 2, identify the level of significance. Step 3, convert to critical z-value. Step 4, computation. Step 5, deciding where to graph. Step 6, conclusion. Here is the formula that you are going to use when solving a 1 sample z-test. Z is equal to the sample mean minus the null hypothesis over the standard deviation over the square root of the sample. Here are some examples. Example number 1. The average IQ for the adult population is 150 with a standard deviation of 100. A researcher believes this value has changed. The researcher decides to test the IQ of 95 random adults. The average IQ of the sample is 180. Is there enough evidence to suggest the average IQ has changed? Assume that A is equals to 0.05, and this is your given, which is M is equals to 150, N is equals to 95, X bar is equals to 180, O is equals to 100, and alpha is equals to 0.05. And now let's proceed to the steps. Step 1 is writing the hypothesis, which is M is equals to 150 and HA is M not equal to 150. Step 2 is the level of significance, which is A is equals to 0.05, which is total because according to the problem they didn't indicate if it's greater or less than, so we divide it by 2, which gives us 0.025. Step 3, finding the critical z value, which is positive negative 1.96. Step 4, solving the problem, which is z z is equals to 180 minus 150 over 100 over the square root of 95, which gives us z is equals to 2.22. Step 5 is deciding where you should plot. So according to step 3, the critical z value is positive negative 1.96, and according to step 4, we have the answer of 2.92. Therefore, we are going to place 2.92 in here. And step 6 is the conclusion. Our conclusion is, since we reject HO, we can conclude that there is enough evidence to suggest the average IQ has changed of the 180 adult population. Here is another example. Example number 2. 1,500 women followed the Atkins diet for a month. A random sample of 29 women gave an average of 6.7 pounds at A is equals to 0.01. Thus, the hypothesis that the average weight gain per woman increased over a month was over 5 pounds. The standard deviation for all women in the group was 7.1. And this is our given, which is n is equals to 5, n is equals to 39, x bar is equals to 6.7, o is equals to 7.1, and our alpha is 0.01. Now let's proceed to the step. So step 1 is again writing the hypothesis, which is HOM is less than 5 and HAM is greater than 5. Step 2 is the level of significance, which is A is 0.01, which is 1 because it indicated that it is increased over a month was over 5 pounds. So let's proceed to step 3, which is finding the critical z value, which is positive 2.326. Step 4 is solving a problem, which is z is equals to 6.7 minus 5 over 7.1 over the square root of 29, which give us the z is equals to 1.289. And step 5 is deciding where it should be plotted. So according to step 3, the critical z value is 2.326, and according to step 4, we have the answer of 1.289. Therefore, we are going to place 2.89 in here in the non-rejection zone. And step 6 is the conclusion. Since we do not reject HO, we can conclude that there is not enough evidence to support the claim that the average weight gain per woman for the month was over 5 pounds. And there you have it. I hope you learned something, and thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Ian Joshua, and
I'm Sandra.
and we're going to teach you how to answer one sample quiz. So Sandra, what is one sample quiz?
A one sample test examines the significance of the sample mean to the average of the population. You're going to answer the second test problem. The mean of the sleep hours of the sample 150 student workers a day is 4.5 hours. The average sleep hours of a person a day is 7 hours. The question is, are these sleep hours of a working student significantly less than normal sleeping hours? The population standard deviation of 100 and the level significance of 0.05. For the given, we have a sample of 150, a mean of 7, standard deviation of 100, and a sample mean of 4.5. Our null hypothesis would be the sample mean is greater or equal to 7, and our alternative hypothesis or claim is the sample mean is less than 7. To find the t-score, we must subtract the mean from the sample mean. The difference will be divided by the quotient of standard deviation to the square root of the sample. The level of significance is 0.05. If we convert it to this t-score, we would get 1.645. By substituting, we have come up with an answer of negative 0.002. In the graph, we can see that the plotted t-score is not in the rejection region. Therefore, we have accepted the claim and reject the null. For a third one-sample t-test problem, the nurses took the weight of 72 newborn babies. The mean of the weights measured is 3.7 kilograms. The average weight of the newborn babies is 3.5 kilograms. Since the sample mean is significantly equal to the average, the population standard deviation is 100, the level significance is 0.05. Are given a sample of 72, the mean is 3.5, the standard deviation is 100, and the sample mean is 3.7. Our null hypothesis will be the sample mean is not equal to 3.5, and our claim or alternative hypothesis is the sample mean is equal to 3.5. It's a two-tailed test because of the significance of the equality of the average and the sample mean. Using the same equation, the level significance by using the positive and negative sides of the curve. By substituting, we have come up with an answer of 0.02, and in the graph we can see that the plotted t-score is not in the rejection region. Therefore, we accept the claim and reject the null.
Hi guys, it's me Ivan Canlas, and I am going to show you how to solve the z-test for proportion in statistic and probability. Now before we get into the problem, let me show you the steps. So step 1, set up the hypothesis. Step 2 is set the level of significance. Step 3 is determine the critical value. Step 4 is compute the test value. And step 5, decision rule. And step 6 is conclusion. Now here are the formulas we are going to use to solve the problem. And of course, we are going to use the t-table to get the, what do you call this? To determine the critical value. Now, let's get right into the problem. So, in the year 2018, it was reported that 30% of the LPU students smoke. To encourage students to stop smoking, the principal of the school implemented a campaign in hopes to decrease the percentage of the students who smoke. He sampled 300 students and determined that 76 of them smoke. At the alpha A is equal to 0.05 shows stop smoking campaign reduce the proportion of the student who smoke. Now here are the givens, and step 1, which is define null and alternative hypothesis. We will just state the null hypothesis in the problem. So the HO will be the claim in the problem, and HA will be the opposite of the claim in the problem. So if we reject the, for example, we reject the HO, we can accept the HA. But if we accept the HO, we can reject the HA. Now in step 2, we will just state the alpha. So the alpha is A is equal to 0.05, and it is one-tailed because it is decrease. Now if you hear a increase, decrease, higher or lower, it is one-tailed. But if there is nothing mentioned in the problem like that, then it is two-tailed. Now in step 3, we are going to determine the critical value. Now to get the critical value, we are going to use the step 2, which is the alpha, and we are going to use the t-table. So it is 0.05 and it is one-tailed, and 0.0 here. Then the z, the value of 1.645 is the critical value, and since it is decreased, it will be a negative. Now in step 4, we are going to use all the formulas in the problem. So the formula is Z is equal to P hat minus P over square root of P times Q over N. Now to get the P hat is P hat is equal to X divide N, and to get the Q is equal to 1 minus P. So here's our P hat. P hat is equal to 76, divide it by 300, which is equal to 0.2533, and the Q, which is 1 minus 0.30, is equal to 0.70. Now you will just insert this in the calculator and you will get the answer. Now in step 5, which is decision rule, we are going to graph the answer we get in the step 3, which is critical value and the test value, and our test value is negative 1.768. And now since the test value is inside the rejected area, we can now conclude that HO is rejected. Now step 6, which is conclusion. After we got all this, we can now conclude that there is sufficient evidence to suggest that the proportion of LPU students who smoke is less than 30%. So yeah, and let's go to the second example. Department of Health, or DOH, claims that 45% of people in the Philippines support making cigarettes illegal within the year. They decided to test the claim and ask a random sample of 200 people in the Philippines whether they support making cigarettes illegally. Of the 200 people, 80 of them support this law. At the given alpha of 0.05, is there enough evidence to support the claim? So here's our given. So step 1, which is the hypothesis, HO is P is equal to 0.45 and HA, which is P is not equal to 0.40. Now in step 2, state the alpha. Our alpha is 0.05 and it is two-tailed because no decrease were mentioned, therefore it is two-tailed. Now in step 3, we will get again the critical value. So let's go back to step 2, which is the alpha, and 0.05 and it is two-tailed. Two tails and 0.05, which is here 1.960. So that is our critical value, 1.60. And step 4, we are just going to use the same formulas again. So Z is equal to 0.4 minus 0.45 over square root of 0.45 times 0.55 over 200, which is equal to negative and plus 1.666. So it is two-tailed. Therefore we are going to get the negative and the positive of the answer. So in step 5, let's graph it. So since it is two-tailed, we are going to graph our test value, which is negative 1.666 and 1.666, and the critical value or the rejected area is 1.960, and our test value is not inside the rejected area, therefore we can accept that HO. We can now accept HO. Now conclusion, and since we got all this, we can now conclude that we accept HO. We can now conclude that the HO claim that 45% of people who support making cigarettes illegally has enough evidence for their claim. therefore the claim is true. So let's go to the example number 3, the last one. Justin believes the chances of William to get a high grades in exam. Justin predicted the chance that William might get a high score because of cheating is 50%. In a total of exam is 200. William got a score of 118. Is there enough evidence that William cheats on the exam? The significance given is 0.01. So here's the given, and let's go to oh, sorry for the typo. It is step 1. The HO is P is equal to less than or equal to 0.50, and our HA is P is equal to or greater than 0.50. Now that the step 1 is stating is hypothesis. Step 2 is state alpha, and our alpha is 0.01, and it is one-tailed because high score is mentioned, therefore it's one-tailed. And in step 3, we're going to get the critical value. Let's go back to step 2 and use the t-table. So our alpha is 0.01 and one-tailed. 0.01 here and one-tailed. So our critical value is 2.326, which is this one. And step 4, again use the formula, and our answer is, the problem is z is equal to 0.59 minus 50 over square root of 0.50 times 0.50 over 200, which is equal to 3. And let's go to the step 5 decision rule. So our rejected area or the critical value is 2.326, and our test value is 3, and it is inside the rejected area, therefore we are rejecting HO. Now we can conclude that Justin has a sufficient evidence that William has a chance of 50% on getting a high score, and it's been proven. Therefore, William has just cheated on the exam. Now, that's all for the z-test proportion. I hope you learned something.
Two proportion z-test. Now, two proportion z-test is used for finding the difference between two proportions. There are formulas finding the z-test, just like this. Z is equals to p sub 1 minus p sub 2 all over the square root of p sub 1 q sub 1 over n sub 1 plus p sub 2 q sub 2 over n sub 2. There are 6 steps in finding the z. In finding a proportion or the difference between two proportions. Step 1 is hypothesis. Step 2 is analysis. Step 3 is the table value. Step 4 solution. Step 5 graph. Step 6 conclusion. And two problems here. Two problems for two proportion z-test. Problem number 1. Suppose the Acme drug company developed a new drug to prevent cold. The company states that the drug is equally effective for men and women. To test this claim, they choose a simple random sample of 100 women and 200 men for a population of 100,000 volunteers. At the end of the study, 38 of the women caught cold, 51 of the men caught cold. Based on these findings, can we reject the company's claim that the drug is equally effective for men and women? Use 0.05 of significance. Now, in solving this problem, you just need to follow these steps. next steps. Have you already made solution? Here. Step 1. Hypothesis. Step 1. Step 1. Hypothesis. Age of O is your null hypothesis and your agent is your hypothesis. How can you find your piece of 1 and piece of 2? Well, it's stated here. The first result of the start is your first is your piece of 1, 38, and you'll divide it by the sample size of women. And piece of 2 is 51. All over the sample size of the men, which is 100. Now, in step 2 analysis 0.05, it is stated that you should use wait, this way. Okay. You should use 0.05 level of significance. It is stated because it's stated here the hypothesis that it is equals. If this is not equals or less than or greater than, it is whatever. In Z table, you can find your Z value. In your Z table, here we have it in step 2 0.05 2 table 0.05 and the Z value is at the bottom of this which is 0.1696 Step 4 resolution. The formula that I've given to you earlier will be used. Step 4. Now you just need to substitute the value of these variables to the given value each, and we find 2.08. In step 5, you just need to draw a bell-like shape and plot the Z-table value, which is 210. Let's begin. It's 210 and 2.08. Your Z value. It's rejected HA. We rejected the thing. Reject the thing because it's in the rejection region. So in conclusion, now since we reject HA, we can conclude that there is not enough evidence that the drug is equally effective for men and women. That's it for the first problem. I have here problem 2. So the previous example is stated a little different. So the only difference here is that the company states that the drug is more effective for men, which is not different. Problem. From problem 1, the drug is equally effective for men. There's just a difference and 0.01 level of significance. Now resolving this problem is not the function. 6 plus 6 is the point. The hypothesis h over the hi. Now piece of mind is less than piece of mind plus a. Stated here that men stated that the company states that the drug is not effective for women. Piece of one is the men 51 over 200 and the piece of two is 30 over 100. The step is the unfavorable zone as it stated. And that is significance. Step 3 0 negative 2.326. Step 1 0 1 here. And the bottom is 0 again, step 4. Use the formula to substitute the values of the variables and finding the given. You just need to use the formula 1 minus p. So that's how you give it. And I'll find out. Step 5. Just need to draw the shape. Not the step. Since the value of z equals is greater than the significance level, we can reject the nature for not hypothesis, which is the feasible.
I hope you learned something from us. Till our next video. Bye!